I'm joined now by Victor Chinyama, who is spokesperson for UNICEF in Somalia, who joins me now from Mogadishu. Very good to see you and to speak to you, Victor. Just hearing there from a doctor in Tigray in the special report we just brought for people saying there's lots and lots of talk, but not enough action, not enough solutions. What is the solution to this kind of hunger?
We have been talking since at least November last year about the drought crisis in Somalia. And our warnings had to do with the fact that this is a crisis that is likely to get worse. And what we are seeing now is a worsening of the situation. The international community was only able to respond in the last couple of months. Unfortunately, we are dealing with a crisis that has taken a long time to build, and now it's really at its peak.
So what do you need? What's the first thing that should be happening if people were contributing, if other countries were stepping in?
Immediately at this point, what we need is really funding to be able to provide immediate life-saving support to the millions of people that have been displaced, the millions of children that are likely to die if they do not receive treatment for malnutrition. But again, this is a crisis that is connected to climate change. So while we are addressing the immediate impact of the drought, we ought to be looking at long-term solutions that help the Somali people to adapt better to climate change and to be able to look at other means of supporting their livelihoods.
So we're talking about big changes to the way people farm, the way agriculture is seen in Somalia?
It is some of the means that will enable people to be able to adapt have been tested right here in Somalia. They are very well known. And unless we look at this as an existential crisis for Somalia, where people are struggling to find water for survival, where they have no crop at all, where their livestock has been decimated, unless we find long-term solutions to this crisis, I'm afraid they'll keep happening over and over again.
Is it possible at a time of crisis like this, though, Victor, to even look at those bigger solutions for Somalia when there is so much immediate need? How do they begin to address, problems in the future, long-term solutions?
It is the message we keep saying to the international community that unless we look at long-term solutions, addressing immediate short-term needs is going to become expensive in the long term. So I do get it that we do need to address the immediate needs. We have to save lives at the moment, but at the same time, that's going to be a very costly and expensive venture if we do not look at how we can support people to better support themselves in the long term.
We just had our heartbreaking report from Tigray. Andrew Harding, one of our correspondents, has done reports as well from Somalia. But we've got the war in Ukraine that led this bulletin that I'm doing right now here on BBC World News too. There is a lot for people around the world to take in, Victor. I mean, there must be huge concern that there is this sort of empathy fatigue too, and that you might not get the funds you need.
We do understand that there are competing priorities right across the world at the moment. But then again, when you look at the crisis such as we have related to climate change, there has to be some empathy to the fact that countries like Somalia that are contributing less to climate change are having to bear the greatest brunt. And I think that there is a moral case to be made, but there's also an economic case to be made about addressing these issues now so that they do not grow and become bigger global crises in the long run.
Victor, thank you for joining us. Victor Chinyama from UNICEF in Mogadishu.